Oh no, Carlos Correa. Listen, the world isn't ending. We're gonna get into it. Who's to say this deal's even gonna stick at this point in time, right? I mean, we've had two other ones get to the 1 yard line and then already be Ernest Biner fumbled away. Let's see if that happens to the third deal on today's Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Guardians. By the way, if Ernest Biner hadn't played in that game, the Browns wouldn't have won anyways. He was the driving piece in that one. That is my bit of Browns for this show. Jeff Ellis, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm a big nerd. I love baseball. One person agreed with me about that. Was Control something with Dave Coulier. So bonus points. Thank you. The one person who remembered how much Nickelodeon was strongly Canadian back in the day. But yeah, again, Carlos Correa. I so much of that on Twitter today. Listen, it's gonna cause a huge chain of events, and we'll get into that maybe more to segment 2. We'll see. But there's also reasons why a billionaire decided they didn't want to pay him hundreds of millions of dollars. A billionaire who was just burning cash everywhere thought Carlos Correa was too risky. So keep that in mind. But I've talked enough.
I'm Justin Ladd. I'm equally as big a nerd. I don't know. You might be able to out-nerd me. I don't know. You got me on the Nickelodeon thing. That's due to age and not nerdiness. I watched plenty of Nickelodeon, but you've got me on age there. I thought that was a Full House reference, but I was one of those nerdy kids who enjoyed Full Houses, corny as it was, and I'll try not to be corny on here. But I've written about baseball and tweeted about baseball for over 12 years. I don't know, going back to like 2010 or something like that. It's been a long time. So did you want to start with the Carlos Correa thing, or do you want to get into our game?
I think let's go with the game, and then let's come back to Correa. If you're here for Correa, we're going to have some fun first, and then we'll bounce back around to it. Should we just throw out the one little nugget that we think there's going to be some minor league news in the coming 2 weeks that doesn't involve a player? Is that safe to say?
Yeah, there'll be some minor league news regarding the Guardians farm system that does not involve a player or anything actually to do with anybody in the front office either. So, but there should be some news next week on a Guardians farm team that doesn't have to do with players or coaching or any of that stuff, but You'll find out.
Embargoed from more.
Yes. Okay. So MLB.com, MLB Pipeline has been doing some executive polls. These are obviously anonymous executives from GMs and farm directors and some scouting directors, and even some analytics people have been doing some polls with Jonathan Mayo and Jim Callis, MLB Pipeline. Rookies of the year, which nobody from Cleveland got a vote. Prospects, which we're going to do real quick, and then tools. So Cleveland did not get a vote for anybody in baseball's best hitting prospect. I don't think that's necessarily a shock. Pitching, though, you think the Cleveland pitching factory, you think would get some votes, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 pitchers got votes for the best pitching prospect in the minors. Jeff, do you want to take a stab at who some of these players might have been that got votes?
Sure. I feel like one of the darlings of this offseason has been Andrew Painter. Did Andrew Painter make it?
You've got one.
Okay. Grayson Rodriguez might be the top pitching prospect left in baseball by some people's views, right?
You've got 2. And in order, 1 and 2. And votes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't expect Painter to be that high. I just went with him because I feel like his name comes up every other week. Is it Yuri Perez is the Marlins guy, right?
You are 3 for 3 in order, my man. Wow, you are a great test
order?
taker. Were you a great quiz? Did you always ace quizzes in school?
I was a two-time state academic challenge champion.
Okay.
I went to
playing
anyone
with
who
the
did
wrong
that.
partner.
We did finish second in the nation one year.
Wow.
So yeah, if anyone else did that in high school back in the day, I went to Copley, so you might have hated us. That was kind of our we were a little known for that. If you just want to add to my nerdiness here and make people even more likely to take some swipes, I got a funny story. I had played football and we were short on football players one year, so I got asked to like basically be a depth guy. I wasn't gonna play. I wasn't that good, and I was like, no, I can't because I got quiz bowl and we might win state, and that was the year the football team like didn't win any games.
It was your fault. It was your fault.
I mean, it's the next year we got all the way to like the semis and lost to Justin Zwick, future Ohio State guy. But yeah, that's just some fun behind the scenes. Taj Bradley from Tampa. He's the top Tampa arm now, right?
Yeah, he got votes, but he was not one of the top 4 vote getters. But you have 4 of them so far who got votes.
Kyle Harrison, Giants. He's another one who everyone likes right now.
Yep, you've got all of them so far.
Okay, so I kind of went through all of them. What about Tideman with Toronto?
Ricky Tiedemann? No, he is not on the list. That is your first.
Finally missed.
You got 1, 2, 3 names left that you got to
I should also explain that I know it's not Espino. And Espino didn't make the list. That's why I'm not that's the one bit of information I did have beforehand. I would have likely guessed him, but I'm guessing that maybe his health is the reason he got scared off. But I should at least give the truthful statement that I did know he is not on that list. I was trying to think just from last year's draft. It's like what Kumar Rocker was the first pitcher off the board.
I'm not going there.
What about your favorite? Bobby Miller, Dodgers?
You read my mind. I was just going to say who is my favorite pitching prospect, and that's Bobby Miller. He was the 4th highest vote getter. So
okay.
The other one was Hunter Brown is on the list for the Astros. He got a vote.
And the worst part is you mentioned that to me, and I was like, Hunter Brown, really?
Yeah.
And then
he didn't get he got a vote for this, but that was not our category. Yeah. So he got a vote for this, and he got a vote for Rookie of the Year this year.
That's what it was. It was the Rookie of the Year that got a vote.
This is just pitching prospects.
Yeah, the pitching. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you told me he got a vote for something. I knew it was something. It was Rookie of the Year. It was not for this. Hunter Brown is a perfectly good prospect. He could be a fine starter. Houston has been great at developing starters, but the hype on him based on like everything else is kind of mind-boggling to me. Yeah. It's not Jack Leiter. Maybe a year ago, I would have guessed him.
I don't think he'll get the last one because he's not a stateside pitcher yet. He hasn't posted, so I don't know why he's even on here. But it's Roki Sasaki from the Shibalata Marines.
Okay,
I don't even know why he got a vote. He's not even a minor league pitcher right now. He hasn't. I would have never gotten that. I would have probably, if I was still guessing, my last one would have been like Tink Hence. That's a good one. But how do you feel about? I understand, like you're right about Espino. Like he basically missed all year. I think he had 8 starts last year with 8 really good starts. So I can understand not giving him a vote there. I can understand him not being among the top vote getters, but not one Guardians pitcher got a vote. Not Gavin Williams, not Espino, not Tanner Bybee. With this organization's reputation for developing pitching and the fact that this is a good example of not really paying attention to top 100s. Like top 100s are fun. We like talking about them. It's cool to talk about if you got a lot of players on there. But if you look across top 100s right now that aren't 100% updated, but Pipeline had all 3 of them in the top 100, Espino, Gavin Williams, and Tanner Bybee. And I think Fangraph's last top 100 update at the end of the 2022 season had all 3 in the top 100. And not one of those guys got votes for this. That just tells you top 100 is not a foolproof way of looking at things. But
no,
I don't know. I feel like at least one of those guys should have gotten a vote from somebody, right? Like, really? I would imagine if they ask you to do this, that whoever works for the team, you're probably supposed to not vote for your own pitchers. But I would think somebody would vote for a Cleveland pitcher, just knowing, like you could have like a Cubs or a Twins guy, like all these front offices that have former Guardians execs in them. Like you would think, I like how Cleveland develops pitchers. I used to work there. Like not even a single one vote, really?
I think the reason why there isn't one comes down again to health, because it's like honestly, Gavin Williams and Daniel Espino were off some teams' boards. Both of them had. I know Williams has been healthy since his injury, which I think was like his freshman year, but teams were, legitimately scared. He would have gone higher if without that injury. There were a few teams that were like, it's too much risk.
Yeah.
And again, he's been fine since then, but there was some risk inherent there. Espino, I knew a lot of teams. He was an injury waiting to happen. I mean, I said it the moment he was drafted, I go, he's going to get injured before he gets to the big leagues, and it happened this year. Was I Nostradamus? No, it's a violent delivery that he's tamed down, but it also means that some of his effectiveness hasn't been quite as strong. He's still an excellent pitching prospect, front of the line potential, but there's a high amount of inherent risk with him. And a lot of people still think he's a reliever. I mean, there are a lot of people who still think that he is there's no way he can hold up.
I could see that.
And then Bybee, a lot of people are playing catch up. A lot of people are playing catch up on Bybee right now, and he's making lists, but because even before the year began, he wasn't the hot player from that draft class. Like, I mean, Trent Denholm is my guy. I've talked about him. He's like 30th or 29th on my prospect list to give a shout to the future. I still like Denholm quite a bit. I mean, I was calling him as the guaranteed Guardians pick for the 2020 draft. It didn't happen, but they got him in the next year.
Yeah.
But he was the hot guy entering the year. He was the pitcher du jour, if you want. And Bybee just started performing. And I don't know if he didn't start having that jump until the season began, but I feel like a lot of people are playing catch up, and that just kind of that's how I view those three. But it also sits back. It also makes me sit back and kind of be like, well, maybe this is part of the issue with that Murphy trade, right? Like maybe these guys are not, because of, health concerns or lack of exposure, maybe these guys aren't quite as highly rated as we have them. I still wouldn't have traded any of them, but that's right. Me.
Yeah. And to be fair, this is also the category is top pitching prospect. Like, I don't know that I would vote for Bybee over any one of these guys myself or Williams.
I wouldn't have.
I think Espino. Yeah, same here. I think Espino is the guy on this list if you're going to pick one Guardians pitcher anyway, just because of the upside. But I don't know. Like, I'm looking. This is not to knock Hunter Brown. He's a good pitcher, but I don't know. I'm looking at the list and I'm like, I would take any of the three Guardians pitchers over Hunter Brown. I'm sorry.
100%. I think we would see them if you got to do like a top three. Like if you voted more of an MVP style, because it just takes one. I mean, when he got promoted, I had people, at least one or two Astros people being like, oh, he's being compared to Justin Verlander. And I'm like, stop, just stop. And, that's a bit of an issue when you get that degree of hype. There are people, I mean, I would have probably just voted Grayson Rodriguez myself at this point in time. Like, I think he is probably the guy. And I say this as someone who called that a bad draft pick in 2018. I can call when I get some right. He was not the prep guy I liked. And congratulations to Baltimore for making me look very poor in my knowledge. But I would have probably voted him. I think the other thing to point out is like Espino. There are guys who threw more innings this year than Espino has thrown in his entire career. Like, he has not had many innings. I mean, he is, let's see, if I can do quick math, which I probably can't, like 91, 92, that'd be 110. He's thrown 133 point in 2/3 of an inning. Like, there are guys who threw 134 innings this year in the minors. He is at 133, and he's got to be added to the roster at the end of the year. He's had, and yes, 2020 was lost. And he didn't get to pitch much this year, which also is an issue. But I mean, he has just not thrown hardly anything. In the minors.
Do you want to know where he did what he did get votes for?
Why don't we do a tease? We will find out what he did get votes for in a moment on today's episode of Locked On Guardians. Now, let's take this moment and talk about our good friends over at Bet Online. Let's go see what Bet Online has. Let's see if they've updated those World Baseball Classic odds. We went and did that before, and I'm looking forward to I got to dive into it. I'm missing baseball. I might actually. My one issue, I'll say at the World Baseball Classic, is college baseball is going to start too, and that's going to get my attention. But the MLB futures, that's baseball futures, World Baseball Classic. USA are still the favorites over at BetOnline at plus 250, Dominican Republic at 275. Huge favorites with Japan at 450, Puerto Rico at plus 800. I got to tell you, who do I kind of like further down this list? Not the Netherlands, which I misread as the Neanderthals earlier today in a tweet. I was like, wow, that's kind of a racist tweet. Oh, no, Netherlands, not calling those people Neanderthals. The Netherlands, though, have a really good team. Don't underestimate the Netherlands at plus 3,300. But I like Venezuela at plus 1,600. Think about all the guys the Guardians have signed. Think about all of their talent internally. Venezuela heavy. So I say go to BetOnline today. Maybe put a few bucks on Venezuela. See if I'm right. See if I'm wrong. But no matter what, that's going to be a fun team to follow. So go to BetOnline today. What category did he win?
He won. You're right. He won a category. He got the most votes for which pitching prospect is the best future closer. So you were on, yeah. Espino got 21% of the votes for which pitching prospect is the best future closer among these.
And again, I did not read this, just in case anyone has questioned. I know I have not read this. But didn't he also win best fastball? That's the other thing you told me.
Yes, he did get best fastball. Well, actually, let me see. Did he get best fastball?
Or he just got votes?
He just got votes, I think. No, he did get the most votes, 33%, by quite a bit. So
yeah, I think you had told me that, and I was like, that's fair because it has a chance to be like an 80 grade pitch. I think if it
he also got not to cut you off. Sorry, I know I'm doing all
slider.
Yeah, well, best secondary pitch, and he got 6% of the votes for slider. So yeah,
he's always had those two, and that's going to be it's like health, and then the curve is. I think the curve has come. I don't think that it's coming. I think it's at least a useful third pitch. I think he's got enough. Yeah. That's no longer the question. It's just health and durability.
I just caught this because I didn't read the whole thing before we went out and did this, but I did see one. So I thought so far that only Espino had gotten votes for these awards. Tanner Bybee did get and also receive votes for which pitching prospect has the best pitchability. He did get some votes. So Tanner Bybee did make the list. So of somebody,
which is kind of funny because he is not at all a pitchability pitcher anymore. Like, I mean, he still is, but he is not like pitchability is like throws 92 and is in the good at, working the corners. It's Josh Tomlin had great pitchability. That's pitchability. So it's again, back to kind of that idea about catching up with him. Should we go to Correa?
Yeah, that's what people are here for, right? Correa. So, it's Correa. Not Correa miss. It's Correa.
I was going to bring that up. So, like, we know Correa one of the top the top 5 industries in Cleveland, at least it used to be. I don't know if it is the T-shirt economy. And all I could think about was all of those Mets fans. Like, I'm like, is the T-shirt economy as big everywhere else? I lived in New York. I don't remember it as much, though I do remember you could get just about anything on the corner as I was walking down the street. So I was imagining all those people who might have gotten like Happy Correa Miss shirts, like from a knockoff vendor.
Oh, yeah.
Just sitting there, like burning their shirt in probably a public trash can. I did see that happen a time or two when I lived in New York. Not like malicious. It was just hot, and sometimes things can catch on fire, or someone throws something in there that can occur. Hey, it's interesting times. But
kind of like the Mets deal with Carlos Correa.
Yeah, it's just like okay, so he had 10 years, 280 guaranteed from the Twins. Instead, he goes to Giants for 11,370. Then it drops to 315 guaranteed.
10, still 10 years with
10.
The Mets. Yeah.
Now it's 6 guaranteed at 200.
And it could be 7. It could be 7 270. I think is the max.
Yeah. So I mean, even if he's healthy, and again, like, were the Mets not willing to match that, or was he so pissed off that he wasn't willing to like take that from the Mets? Because I think they would do that. But I mean, how bad are those medicals? Legitimately, like, how scary are they that these other teams weren't willing to like come back and offer 6 guaranteed years?
Yeah, I don't want to say this is 100% true. I'm going to break one of our rules about media literacy, but I did see a tweet, and I think it was I don't think it was an illegitimate tweet, but I think somebody might have had a report that the Mets were trying to get him to take a physical every year to guarantee the next year of the contract, which I think is against the CBA, to be honest with you. I think the Mets were trying to work with the Players Association to make that work, and I think Correa and Boris were both like, yeah, that's not happening, which I don't blame him for. I think that's a bad maneuver. There's a reason that's not. It's a bad precedent. There's a reason. Yeah, there's a reason I think that's banned by the CBA or something like that. So the question though is, did the Mets are better than they were a year ago, but I don't know how much better they are. But are the Twins better?
Are they better though?
Yes, they're deeper.
Are they?
Yeah. The Mets are better than they were a year
they
ago.
mostly re-signed their own guys, and then they traded aces.
That's true. I think Verlander would be healthier than DeGrom. That's one thing.
But they got better. They got worse. I mean, healthy. I mean, if they're healthy, I mean, again, like you said, we don't know who's going to be healthy, but
they added Kodai Senga. They added David Robertson. I think they'll be better. I don't know how much better they are a year ago, but I think they're slightly better. Do you think the Twins are better than they were a year ago? Because the Twins had Carlos Correa last year, and they weren't good enough to win the division against the Guardians. Now the Twins added Joey Gallo and Christian Vasquez, which I guess Vasquez is an upgrade over Ryan Jeffers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that Gallo is an upgrade. As I know you like Gallo a lot more than I do. I don't know that he's an upgrade of what they had. I know at the end of the year, they had a lot of guys out because of injuries, but I mean, their outfield on paper looks fun. Like it's Buxton, Kepler, and Gallo, though Kepler hasn't really panned out yet, but I don't know. I guess it makes them a little bit better, but I don't know. The Twins pitching hasn't really improved that much to me. They re-signed their own guys too. They brought back Emilio Pagan, which is the best addition of the offseason for the Guardians, right?
Yeah, I mean that's 100%. They're the best.
They haven't added a pitcher. Like they'll maybe get Chris Paddock back at some point this year, and Kenta Maeda will be healthy again, and Tyler Mahle will be healthy again. But I don't. The Twins to me aren't better. They're not better than they were a year ago.
Well, if you listen to the Twins fans yesterday, as I saw on Twitter, they got a new trainer, and just being healthy was going to be such a big upgrade. They're going to win the division. Like
everybody's healthy and day one of spring training. Everybody.
But no, it was just kind of funny to me, this take that like Cleveland was just lucky. There was not really any talent, and the Twins are a better team. It's like, I could maybe see that with the White Sox, but like at the same time, it's like with the Twins, I'm like, your pitching staff is a bit of a mess. And like, I'm not to say that they can't compete. They absolutely can win this division. I don't want to sit back and say they're not contenders. They are 100% contenders. But they were not a slam dunk. This makes them better. And it's also going to start a ripple effect, because this is where it gets fun, right? The other bit of news today, the almost as big of news, is Johnny Cueto to the Marlins, who, desperately needed pitching. But what that means now is, you look at this Twins team and you kind of look at their depth situation. Luis Suarez is, hey, there's that middle infielder that the Miami needs. Max Kepler, you know what? He can play center field. Like this is shaping up for, Kepler, Arez, maybe another small piece, go into the Twins for a pitcher. Like, and
I could see that
it's happening. Like I'm going to call it now. Like before the end of this week, we'll see a Marlins Twins trade. It just makes too much sense for it not to happen. Maybe it's someone like Austin Martin too, who like had some connection beforehand and has had some struggles. They could use another interesting prospect. He is way down on lists, but could be someone who would appeal. Maybe, Matt Wallner. I got to look at his numbers before. This is the problem with using again Fangraphs. Isn't he a lefty?
Fielder. Yeah, he's a lefty.
No, but they need a left-handed bat, and he could be like a potential another potential outfielder who's left-handed. So it's like as a third piece, if you're talking like Arez, Wallner, and Kepler, they get 2 starters out of that deal. They get a guy who can be a utility / backup, and they get 3 starters right out of the gate. And if they do that for Pablo Lopez, I mean, they might do that for Lopez. If they don't do it for Lopez, they'll definitely trade a lesser arm. But I think,
Lopez looks like he'd fit somewhere. I don't know. I'm looking at the rotation on paper. I actually kind of like their rotation. Like Gray,
I've always liked Ober a lot.
Yeah, I've always liked Sonny Gray. He's had some ups and downs health wise. I really, really like Joe Ryan. I know people are like, "Oh, I don't think he's that good." I think Joe Ryan's really good. Tyler Mahle is just okay. I think Pablo Lopez would be a little bit better than Tyler Mahle. I don't know. Kenta Maeda, who knows about his health, truthfully. And Bailey Ober, I do like. And I don't really think they have a whole lot of pitching prospects. They have like
Simone Woods Richardson's probably the closest guy, right?
Yeah, Jordan Balazovic. I don't know, but I still don't know. Like the Twins are pretty much running it back. Like they added Gallo and they added Vasquez. Maybe they'll add a pitcher, like you said, but I feel like they're kind of running it back and they're hoping for health. Which if they're healthy, they're good. If they're healthy, they might win the division last year. But the White Sox are probably saying the same thing because they lost Robert and Jimenez for quite a bit of the year last year too, and they had some guys banged up pitching wise too. But I don't know. To me, the Twins didn't get a whole lot better. They're banking on health. Not to say Correa's not a good player. Obviously, Correa is a great player, and kudos for the Twins to find a way to keep him after that entire disaster. But I don't know. I just don't see them. I would not be any more worried about the Twins in 2023 than I was in 2022. Where meaning this could still be a 3-team race in the Central, depending on how things go. But I don't think it's like, oh, the Guardians can't repeat because the Twins re-signed Carlos Correa. Like, I don't think that's the reaction at all.
The other interesting guy who might need a change of scenery could be Alex Kirilloff too. Could be an interesting.
They were already talking about trading Kepler, and people kept saying the Yankees were going to trade for Kepler because it made a lot of sense. That was the guy they were talking about trading Kepler so they could get Kirilloff in the lineup, and that they have not traded Kepler yet. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Here's
if they did that, if they did do that, then they could call up. There's Trevor Larnach as well, though he's another lefty. Who's actually played pretty well when given opportunities. So they have some depth. Again, I think it makes too much sense. Like that trade is happening. Marlins to Twins. I'm calling my shot right now. It's going to be done within a week. Oh, I don't know. I think we missed this one. Did you see Willie Castro accepted a minor league deal?
I did see that.
Old friend alerts.
Yeah, that trade did not work out well for anybody, but that's unfortunate.
I don't know. Castro had like 1 or 2 good years. Detroit certainly won, in my opinion.
Yeah, I guess it's a very short win considering they didn't do much with those 2 good years. But I have an interesting comment / quote from a story on shortstops after we come back.
Yeah, we should do a break. Not to be that dude and interrupt. Everyone can comment at 2:53 in the show about your hate for me interrupting. But we gotta take a break, come back, and then get that interesting quote. Seems like a perfect tease. We'll be back in a moment on today's Locked On Guardians. And we're back. Perfect time for that quote now.
Well, this comes from a Cleveland Guardians beat writer. I won't name the name, but everybody will be able to figure this out. In his story about his, I guess, gives it one less person. In their story about the Carlos Correa signing, they wrote, "After all that, is Carlos Correa the best shortstop in the AL Central? Or could it be Amed Rosario, who is scheduled to exchange salary figures with the Guardians on Friday because he's eligible for arbitration?" That is quite the stretch. Could Amed Rosario be the best shortstop in the AL Central? Sure. If every other shortstop gets hurt, not named, I don't know who.
Correa, Anderson. I mean,
who is the Tigers?
Royals have Bobby Witt, and the Tigers
Baez.
Yeah, we forgot. I mean,
I'll put Rosario and Baez next to each other because of how far Baez has fallen offensively. But
yeah,
I will take Bobby Witt, Carlos Correa all day.
I missed this quote, but I'm going to bet it's from a very senior sports writer.
I don't know. Not naming names. You can all figure it out yourself.
Probably someone who really likes the fact that there's a
batting average,
or just he led the team in hits. You know how important that is. Yes. He had a lot of hits. He also led the team in hits that turned into double plays, which aren't really hits, but you know what I mean.
He was top 10 in baseball in that, actually. Yeah.
if not top 5.
Yeah, it was 19. But yeah, that's quite the stretch right there. I forgot that Rosario is still arbitration eligible. Interesting, they haven't settled that yet. But speaking of shortstops, do we want to move on to our last shortstop related topic? Or do you want to go?
I think we should hold off because I think shortstops have so much to talk about.
Oh, I didn't mean those shortstops. I meant other team shortstops.
Oh, yeah. Let's do that.
So
we've talked so many shortstops on today's show.
This is the shortstop edition.
3 or 4 in the show, and we still have like 3 others on our drawing board, which metaphorical drawing board. Where I was like, oh no, not that shortstop. That's gonna take a while. Oh no, the other shortstop. Yeah, that one.
That could take a while too. I don't know. Speaking of Amed Rosario, these things are maybe adjacent. So if you haven't seen the news yet, whether you're listening to this late night on the 10th on Twitter or on YouTube or on the 11th on audio or wherever, but Trevor Story is out 4 to 6 months reportedly after elbow surgery. He had UCL brace surgery, which is like the shortened version. Light. Yeah, it's still Tommy John, but instead of reconnecting the ligament, they use a brace to hold it together or something. It's supposed to get you back sooner. And I think the only guy I remember having it is Carter Capps, I think. And there's some other guys who have had it. I don't know how well they came back from it. But anyway.
Carter Capps didn't come back great from it though, right?
Yeah. Well, they also outlawed his little delivery with his little toe tap. They said that was now a balk. So that might have contributed to his downfall when he came back too. But here's 2 quotes today from Chaim Bloom, the Red Sox. I don't know if he's their GM or he's their president of baseball ops, whatever he is. 2 quotes. He said, "It means there's more to do, and they will try to keep strengthening the middle of the infield. It's more of a priority now in the area the Sox need to add to, whether that's in the infield or center field, or if Kike Hernandez plays infield, we'll see." The other quote was that they hope that Trevor Story can come back this year, but they can't bank on him playing in 2023. So the idea with the Red Sox was they were going to move Trevor Story back to shortstop from second base because they lost Xander Bogaerts and they don't have a replacement. We've talked about that a couple times on the show. And they were going to have Christian Arroyo or Kike Hernandez play second base. And right now their depth chart on roster resource has Kike Hernandez playing short and Christian Arroyo playing second base. And beyond that, they don't have him in the roster. It's Emmanuel Valdez and Bobby Dahlbeck. And their middle infield in the minors is, it's bad. It's it's not good. So
I mean,
they need to add middle infield help very badly. If maybe they just want it. Maybe the Red Sox are taking this year. I don't know. We'll see. I also read there were teams that were staying away from Trevor Story last offseason because they feared he was going to need he's going to need elbow surgery eventually. And, here he is. But, we briefly did talk about potentially sending Amed Rosario to the Red Sox. And there was like one small quote in The Athletic, I think from Ken Rosenthal, saying the Red Sox kicked around the idea and then it didn't go anywhere. And we haven't heard anything since, but nothing has come of that. I don't know. Do you think there's any more likelihood now the Red Sox would be interested in Amed Rosario after Trevor Story, maybe after the season?
It all kind of depends on, again, like, are they trying to compete? And I feel like they kind of have to. I think they are. Long story short is it's very clear that Bloom feels under the gun. Like we talked about, the Devers deal is good for the team. It's a good signing when you have money. But you should have done that with Betts. You should have done, like, Devers had him over a barrel. He's not the 6th best player in baseball. He's not in the top 10, in my opinion. He's a very good player. I'm not even sure if he's top 3 at his position. They paid him the 6th highest contract in baseball history. This is a front office that's feeling pressured. Things have not gone well for them. And I don't think they can afford to not compete this year. I feel like if they finish the year last in that division, Bloom's gone. Like, this is all a failed experiment. It's like, I was working on my mock draft, as I do, and I was writing about the fact that, like, it's been an interesting experiment, but just even in all aspects, even the draft, like every single player they have drafted in the first round is a middle infielder who it's left-handed bat who is from California. They've exact same player every single time. Same, better versions of that player, maybe a few other tools, but they have done this very interesting approach. And, does Tristan Cassis have a distinct position to play for them? I had someone arguing that they don't need a first baseman. I think he's going to be their first baseman. I didn't really dive too much into that whole
Who would play first base for them if he doesn't?
They thought
Devers already?
No, I can't even remember. They thought they were going to... because they added Hosmer.
Yeah.
That was the person's hot take. They paid Justin Turner, and that was their big free agent addition at age 38. We'll see what he has left. But yeah, I don't think they can afford to just be like, we're going to move Kike, right? Let's pronounce it so I don't get myself canceled. Hernandez.
Yes.
He might play short for them, which he's been a center fielder for basically he only became an effective hitter when he moved to the outfield. It was like taking the position away from him, made him a better hitter when he didn't have to worry about infield defense. Christian Arroyo, who we talked about on this show, it's not good. And
to top it off, by the way, just in case you're wondering,
Nico Goodrum might be their starting shortstop.
I forgot they signed him. They also have Reese McGuire listed as their starting catcher at this point too, which is
he probably is.
Wow. Whew. So yeah, the Red Sox need to make a move. I think a couple weeks ago we did this year. I forget when now because the holidays have given me brain fog too. But you said Tyler Freeman to the Red Sox, right?
Yes, and I did enjoy. Listen. I just want to explain something because someone asked me about competitive balance picks. They're like, do the Red Sox have competitive balance picks? And as someone who writes about it made me giggle, but it's totally something I need to explain because it's not that person's fault. The competitive balance picks aren't explained well. So I just want to take a second. Competitive balance picks only go to small market teams and teams who are, very small markets, which I know you're saying that's weird because Seattle gets one or St. Louis used to get them. So they have to be one of the 10 lowest revenue clubs or from one of the 10 smallest markets, which I don't understand how Seattle is either of those. But hey, St. Louis isn't anymore, but they used to be.
Interesting. The Red Sox will not have one.
No,
never.
No. So that's why it made me giggle. I'm like, they're the opposite. They're the antithesis. And again, I'm not laughing at the person who said it. It was just more, I'm like, this needs to be explained. So,
yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. Do you think there's any more possibility that the Red Sox might reach out about one of the Guardians' middle infielders, whether it's Rosario or anybody?
Well,
they're not going to block Marcelo Meyer, obviously.
No, the other one I'm kind of curious about is if they reach out to the Marlins about Rojas, who may not be a starter anymore, since they've had some discussion there, and he'll be a cheaper get and a nice plug and play. The Cleveland, honestly, even if they got Rojas, they should probably trade for Freeman to play second base. Arroyo's not the answer. Freeman potentially could be. That's the thing about Freeman. He is potentially an answer. He's a potential, he could be a Division I level starter. I'm not, and I say that as someone who is admittedly not his biggest believer because the profile isn't my favorite, but there's a chance he could absolutely be that. I don't think there's a chance Arroyo is that. Is that insanity from me?
No, I think they need two middle infielders if they want to compete. I guess you can get away with, trading for a shortstop and then figuring out Hernandez and Arroyo and Goodrum and at second base eventually. Yeah, I don't know. And maybe David Hamilton. I don't know if he's ready, but maybe David Hamilton eventually, but it depends on what the Red Sox want to do. I can't see the Red Sox competing right now, to be honest. The rotation is like a good 2016 rotation. They have Sale, Kluber, and James Paxton, and the rest of the rotation is whatever. But the rotation would have been good 7 years ago. Now it's kind of okay.
Yeah, but like I said, I don't think they can afford to wait it out. So we should.
Interesting.
It's going to be interesting. We'll maybe discuss some trades in the in our extended version. We're at almost 40 minutes. So I got to cut Justin off here. I got to say thank you for listening, rating, and reviewing, downloading. It helps. And you put a little counter in the corner. If anyone wants to inform me how to do graphics, I can, put the little cutoff counter and things like that. So start adding some production, some fireworks. I don't know. I've been Jeff Ellis with Locked On Guardians. On behalf of Justin, I want to thank you for listening and being a part of the Locked On Guardians team. You can join us on YouTube as we discuss, hey, is there a trade that makes sense? Is there a multi-team trade that makes sense?
Ooh.
Let's get into it. But thank you for listening to the audio, and go Guardians, go.
All right. The first trade I am pitching, obviously, is Amed Rosario for Blaze Jordan. You knew that was coming. I don't know if they would do that. I like Blaze Jordan a lot as draft. We have talked about this already. We did say, like, who was the one player? You said Freeman for, oh gosh. I can't remember who you picked out. Oh, Nico Cavadas. It was Freeman for Cavadas.
Well, and another piece. Cavadas was pretty far down the list. Yeah. I can't remember what the other piece was. So I'm
one
just
of their
kind
pitchers.
Probably it's probably someone
Shane Drohan is. I think you said Shane Drohan.
Well, no, he was just an interesting name who's fallen on hard times. So that was more like, wow, it's another guy who just hasn't quite lived up to what some of us were expecting him to potentially be. I'm just kind of doing some I'm trolling, but not like the negative one, like a fish that in the ocean, or not fish, a ship catching fish. I'm doing some quick trolling data to kind of see if I can work a 3-teamer that makes any sense at all based on some team needs. Because Boston, essentially, it's like, what are their trade assets? Like weak farm system, or like, I guess, Bobby Dahlbeck, if you want to believe in him. But it's like, who else? I mean, what else can they really offer? Is Alex Verdugo someone they want to consider trading? Because I mean, Verdugo's turned into like a solid regular. There's nothing wrong with that, but he is essentially Benintendi Part 2 for them. Like it's not what you kind of hoped when you got him, but it's what he is. And it's, again, the problem with this Boston team is it's just like the trade assets are so limited that it makes any deal so hard to figure out. That's why I'm like, I'm gonna take a few quick looks at, this could be, let me see.
I can't see Dahlbeck being a fit for Cleveland just because.
No, I can't see being a fit for like anyone. And it's like, I'm looking at those comp picks. I'm like, okay, now where does a 3-team deal make sense where Cleveland could net a comp pick? I wonder, could we bring in Milwaukee? Now they got Tellez, so it doesn't make a ton of sense at first base, right? That's their first baseman is Tellez. But Tellez is a lefty, right?
He is.
So Dahlbeck is a righty. How are Tellez's platoon splits? Let's go look at.
I don't know. Well, Dahlbeck is listed as their bench, is on their bench anyway, because unless they are going to send Cassis back to AAA to start the year, which I'd be kind of surprised by because he did get a cup of coffee late in the year.
But that's why, like,
they can't afford to put him back in AAA because he's one of their better players. Like, if you look at the best 26 players, I think Cassis is one of their best 26 players, so they might as well have him on the roster.
No, and that's why, like I said, that's why I was like, okay, so if they're going to have him up, could be, and Dahlbeck, it seems kind of a bit like those first base types that the Brewers go for, like big power types who, maybe questionable on base skills. I was kind of curious to see. Yeah. So, okay. So if you want, now, I don't know, for his career, Dahlbeck has been in almost 400 games, so it is a workable sample. His runs created plus against lefties is 128, and against righties is an 85. Tellez is a 108 versus lefties. No, I'm sorry, a 108 versus righties and a 94 against lefties. So it would be like a pretty significant improvement. So this Milwaukee thing might have some legs.
I don't know. I'm not really a big fan of bringing Tellez in. Are you talking about going to Boston or Cleveland?
No. So this is, I'm not, no. If you did Amed to
Boston,
Dahlbeck to Milwaukee, so then they'd make that their platoon, Tellez and Dahlbeck.
So who is Cleveland getting? Joey Weimer, right? No.
No.
I think Jordan?
I think Cleveland might have to see. No, see, our problem is getting the other pieces together. No, I was trying to say get the Brewers round A comp pick.
Just so straight up, basically, you give up Amed and you get a comp pick only. Is that comp pick worth whatever? I mean, because Cleveland's not going to attach. There's no way Cleveland's giving him the qualifying offer next offseason, right?
No. I mean, maybe a slight chance. I'd say at about 10%. But that pick that you would get from if you gave him that would be about where this pick is going to be, because it's going to come. I got to double check draft order. The Mets pick will come first, but I think the Dodgers pick comes after.
You know, they could get from the Brewers. They could just get Owen Miller. Seems like a good fit for Cleveland.
You know, they still got to complete that trade. So
I know. Just more cash from the Brewers.
They can just roll that into this deal, right? It goes, So the Mets pick is 32. So that Brewers pick is 33 overall. But still, it's the Rosario would, like in a normal year, though, I guess the way this has worked, there's the Mets will still probably pay the penalty next year. The Dodgers are not. Probably about the same range. If you gave Amed the qualifying offer, we're not saying that they will. And I think there'd have to be a little bit more. There's something else from Boston going to Cleveland in this trade, in my opinion.
Blaze Jordan. I already said that.
I mean, it could be Blaze Jordan. Dahlbeck goes to Milwaukee. I don't know. Cleveland might have to flip like a low-end reliever to Milwaukee to make it for the value of the comp pick. Or maybe it's Boston flip some. I don't know. It's not quite even.
I'm half joking with Blaze Jordan because I don't think Boston would do it, and I also don't know. I don't know how much Cleveland likes him because he kind of reminds me of Clint Frazier in terms of the youth and the bat speed.
Another redhead.
I don't know about that, but am
I wrong?
I was concerned that he was kind of a
maybe I'm just thinking Blaze and red. That could be my natural bias.
Well, he was young for the class, had a lot of bat speed, and was kind of a late guy brimming up. But the Red Sox now have third base spoken for a few more years until Devers can't play there. But Tristan Cassis might be their first base in the future, so Blaze Jordan may not have a position for them in the future. So that's why I'm thinking, well, why not ask for him, right? If you were to trade. It seems like a lot for Amed Rosario, but
I don't know. It's like I have a hard time gauging Amed Rosario's value. Like, what is his real value?
I agree.
He is, if you look at Baseball Reference, he was nearly a 6-win player. That makes him a near MVP candidate. Baseball Reference, I don't use anymore for some reasons. It gives no value at all to relievers, so it's kind of hard to judge multiple aspects with it. But it's like, to me, I don't know. Part of me is like, is Blaze Jordan too little or is it too much? Like, I don't know, and that's why I'm kind of like, I don't know if you can trade Amed. Like, he's probably just going to ride out the year. Like, to me, if they're doing this trade, it's probably someone like Ty Freeman, who is just blocked. Like, him or Gabby, you can't keep both. So how are you moving on? And it's like flipping one of them because they're better assets. It's a better investment for a team than what Boston's going to do. Because taking Hernandez out of his natural role is not, and there's no guarantee. Even I know 4 to 6 months. Some people are saying so he'll be ready to go. Worst case by July. It's like, no, there's a chance he doesn't play at all this year.
By the playoffs, because the Red Sox are obviously making the playoffs, right?
Yep, 100%. In that division, easy peasy. I mean, they're clearly the worst team in that division. But again, I don't think that if that front office, if that team has another poor year, they're out. So they're going to do everything they can to not have a super poor year. Because when GMs have guns to their heads, they make awful choices. And that's the situation here. I mean,
right.
The pressure is on. They already gave a contract, like I said, that was clearly shows that they are feeling the pressure. So I don't know, but I feel like I don't know. I don't think Amed is the guy. I think it's got to be one of the younger guys. It could happen. I still think at the end of the day, not to be like the Debbie Downer and all this, but I think they've already had talks with the Marlins. Rojas is sitting there. Rojas doesn't have a starting gig with the Marlins. he is good enough defensively to be, Jose Iglesias keeps finding work.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe they'll. Did he get a deal with anybody? That's a good question. If he got a deal with anybody, I think you're right. Though I think it ends.
Elvis Andrus is still out there.
Oh,
he's not bad.
Oh, all right. You know what? Yeah, the Red Sox. I'm sorry, I forgot Elvis Andrus is still out there. The Red Sox have nothing to trade. A lot of teams do not want to trade prospects right now. They'd rather pay the money for players. So
and Iglesias is still out there.
Yeah.
Okay. I literally see MLB Insider floats potential Red Sox fits after Trevor Story injury. When you type Jose Iglesias into Google, the top 3 stories are all about Trevor Story's injury.
Yeah.
The only reason they're going to trending is because of that.
Yeah, they're gonna sign Andrus or
Iglesias.
Okay.
Yeah.
No reason to get excited about this anymore. No reason to think there's a trade going to happen.
But the thing I will say, it's like even let's say they signed Andrus's, like again, I still think
they still need an infielder.
A trade for Freeman, so it makes sense. They need a second baseman essentially of the future. Yeah. And you know what happens if Trevor Story can't come back and play short? Well, Freeman can handle it. It's not saying that he's going to be fantastic or a world beater there, but he can be solid there. It's like they need some options.
Right.
But I think they might they're going to start being that team that wades heavily into this free agent morass, right? That's what you call it.
Sure. That sounds like a word we're almost not allowed to use, but close.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Yeah. Now that I've grounded to a halt by
it was fun for a minute to think about. I honestly forgot that Elvis Andrus still existed. I shouldn't, because obviously he thought the Guardians were going to crumble last year. Maybe he thinks that maybe he joined the wrong Sox.
I want him to go out of the. I mean, I guess it's an unbalanced schedule, so you're gonna have to face him no matter what. I mean, I talked about this during the season. Like what he does against Cleveland is like 200 points higher than what he does against any other team in baseball. Of course, you think Cleveland's going to crumble. He's like, this is the easiest team in baseball to play. Every other team is difficult. I crushed this team. Of course, he thinks Cleveland's going to crumble. They crumble when they face him. But there's not a ton of guys left. It's like, Adam Duvall is going to get a lot more talk. I wouldn't mind him, honestly, with the Guardians. But there are still a few shortstops. There are no catchers outside of your favorite Gary Sanchez.
I thought I made it clear yesterday. Jorge Alfaro was my favorite.
I feel like not. If we were in OBS right now is when speaking production values, I could at least put like a little box over the top here. It just said, Gary Sanchez Stan. I could, just sit here and do those showcase. Just occasionally have it pop up during the show. Just little terrible jerk moves that I don't know how to do with this particular software. But I think
I'm going to ignore that and then agree with you that Adam Duvall would be an interesting guy. His on base percentage was god awful last year, but he still had an 844 OPS against lefties because he slugged 562 against them. So, because we talked about AJ Pollock for a minute, because one of our I don't know if he's a listener, if he just follows us, but Matan K,
who wrote a fun piece on I'll give him a shout out on is it Alaska Abner or Abner Alaska?
Alaska Abney.
Alaska Abner. Interesting piece. I retweeted it. I haven't tweeted a ton, so it should be easy to find. But he's doing some fun advanced work. Reminds me of he feels like he took some inspiration from Tyrion from back in the day with some of the stuff that he is writing and doing.
I don't know how he had access to it, but he found some interesting data that's not public on Alaska Abney. Definitely check that out. I'll retweet it again. But
yeah, no, with his talk on Pollock and everything, I do. Duvall had his health issues last year as well, right? And it was kind of a hold up
about that.
But
he was good against lefties. But the fact,
he's on base, but 60-day injured list in August with a wrist injury, so that could have affected it. But yeah, he still hits lefties.
Does he strike out a lot?
Yeah, 30%. Not like Zunino level, but still pretty high for this team.
Yeah, I don't know.
28.5 for his career.
That's high enough for them to maybe the thing. Well, like you said before, the only reason they are willing to add those guys is if they provide defense. They've shown that they'll accept a certain strikeout rate if they provide a high level of defense, which that is not Adam Duvall, right?
Wait,
Oh no, I lied. Outs above average, 80th percentile last year, and outfielder jump 74th percentile. So
I would not have guessed that. I got to be honest. I would not have been like Amed Duvall. Last year he was about league average against lefty. No, that's for his career. So I'm sorry, because he's had some ups and downs.
He had over an 800 OPS against lefties last year. Just didn't get on base a ton because he had a low batting average and all that. But he still slugged. He had 12 home. He actually had 12 home runs, 6 against each side of the plate. But his 6 against lefties came in 78 plate appearances. So I don't know, something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean he's only had 6 years of service time and he's 34. He's just always, didn't he make an all-star game? Like he's had 3 years of 30 plus home runs too. That's
wow.
Yeah. It's been an interesting career for Adam Duvall. It's been high highs and low lows, but I mean, there's not much left on the market. He's kind of a fun random flyer type to consider. Yeah. I think we got any more shortstops we need to discuss, get into.
No, we were going to talk about the Guardian shortstop prospects. We've been doing our prospect kind of dig into the system by position, but we can save that for tomorrow.
Isn't the international signing period starting soon? Are the Guardians signing any shortstops? Do we have that advanced knowledge?
I don't know.
January 15th, right?
It's Sunday. Is Welbin Francisco? I don't think Welbin Francisco is their top guy in the system in terms of this class. I don't think that he is projected at shortstop yet, or I think he's projected to be a second baseman. So we'll see. He'll probably play second base or shortstop to start, but we'll see.
Yeah, so there's some more shortstop stuff. So
with Cleveland, there's no such thing as never running out of shortstops. Let's be honest.
No, I think they think if you run out of shortstops that something terrible is going to happen.
Yes. The equilibrium of the world will lose its balance and will fire into the sun somehow.
You'll have to drink eggnog all the time and watch nothing but Will Smith movies. It'll be
Oh, well, okay. I
trying
to balance my love and hate there. No, I hate eggnog more than I like Will Smith movies. So you got me there.
We can go with that one. Yeah, it's so weird to me too that whole. I mean, we've already gone long enough, but I like that. Like we've essentially known who Cleveland's going to sign since like the summer, right? Or just about, and
it's been over a year.
Yeah, we've kind of known.
When Francisco was like 14 years old, we knew he was signed with Cleveland.
Yeah, we won't get the official stuff because it's like wasn't last year just when they signed Churio and his Turris who we talked about? It's only been a year those two have been in system.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So that's kind of so it is interesting from that perspective. I don't know if anyone's going to rise quite as fast as those two, but those are certainly some names we have talked about on the show recently. We're at almost an hour. I'm going to call it a show. I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to go to the reference again. Nickelodeon had some weird things back in the day. Just going to state that. If anyone else remembers, I feel like I need to make a Discord just to see if some of the stuff in my mind from Nickelodeon was a fever dream of childhood, or if these were really shows about like a weird gremlin statue or some kids going to boarding school who fell asleep on a train. If you know those ones, love to hear that below. Let's see, what else can we ask for? If you stuck around to the end, what is your favorite? It's January. What is your favorite thing to build with snow? I don't know. I got nothing. You can stick around the end. You can let us know.
I hate the winter.
But thank you all for listening, rating, and reviewing, downloading. It helps. 1,176 subscribers on YouTube. And yesterday's show was our second highest watched in a long time. So thank you, at least in the first 24 hours. And we always pick up as the week goes on. But thank you all. And go Guardians, go.